And our second speaker is Cristina Espino. Cristina is a talent acquisition professional at Takeda. And today she will share her advice on how to make a perfect LinkedIn profile to catch an eye of any recruiter, because these profiles are becoming more and more important. And we are very, very happy to have you. And please, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Felix. Okay. I would like to ask you to imagine right now, kicking off my presentation for today. So imagine going to a conference and connecting with speakers, let's say, and peers of yours who are currently working on projects similar to your projects. In that conference, there is one particular person that you would like to connect with after the conference, so post-conference. You go home, open your laptop, and search for, their name is Alex M. Yeah, so you search for Alex M on LinkedIn, only to find this. So my question to you now is, how likely is it that you're going to add one of these Alex M into your professional network? And my assumption would be at this stage that perhaps you would want to add the third Alex M, simply because this person is in Vienna and in the same city, let's say, but in most cases, it's rather unlikely to add somebody with such a profile to your connection unless you know them already. And this is really just a very simple example as to how the way we use LinkedIn has an effect on how our professional network perceives us, and it has an effect into your professional brand in general. So in today's presentation, I would like to go through the more prominent sections of LinkedIn. I'm sure we are all familiar with, we've already seen these sections, but what I would like to do today is concentrate on the low-hanging fruits and give you some tips on how to tweak your profile in such a way that it increases your visibility and it enhances your professional brand. So we will start with the first section, which is the introduction part. So I have here a snip of Yudan Lin's profile. I'm happy that she agreed for me to feature her profile on today's presentation. I found it randomly, to be honest, but I thought it was worth featuring, and we will learn later on the reasons why I thought that this is the case. So we will just skim through the introduction section and go section by section, basically. So we have here the background with unexpected data. Yudan uses a profile photo with neutral background. You can see her face. She uses here her location with Vienna, Austria, and adds tags that are relevant for her field of work with AI. You have data, big data, data science, and machine learning. On the right-hand side, you can also see her blog, but also part of her education. And last but not least, she has a standout headline. This is this part, so underneath her name, you can see that she makes use of the space that LinkedIn is providing us with. And in the next slide, I will explain to you the reason why I would like to feature the headline as one of those low-hanging fruits that I mentioned before. So what is it about headlines, really? It's really one of the most prominent sections on LinkedIn. Beside the photo, the headline is that part or that section that potential visitors get to see right away. And what happens typically is that users would spend between 5 to 10 seconds to make a decision whether or not to click on somebody's profile. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you highlight all your skills, associated skills and expertise in that small area that LinkedIn is providing us with. And give visitors basically a reason to connect with you, be it for career opportunities or be it for future projects that you might be interested in. And there are recommendations on how to create that headline. So one of those recommendations is to speak to your visitors. So using the first person. Another one of those recommendations is to put emphasis on keywords, especially because it has also to do with how Google is showing your profile, talking about search engine optimization. So emphasis on keywords is really very important. Another recommendation is to use action-oriented words. So you could write something like, I create, I provide, I generate, XYZ, etc., etc. So that is one other recommendation. And of course, last but not least, highlight your unique values. So what do you bring to the table? Give your visitors reason to learn more about you, basically. So I will jump back to Yudan's introduction section, and then we can dissect a little bit what she's actually using in this section. So I've noticed that she's mentioning a lot of strong keywords. So I've already read through them with AI, data, big data. Those are relevant for the industry, but also relevant for her field of expertise. She also mentions her associated skills with speaker, moderator, leader, and of course her value, providing innovation and human-centered breakthrough for better common data science good. We have data science as a keyword there, and she's also using action-oriented word with providing. So I thought this was worth sharing with you, but of course I have other examples as well. So let's move to the other examples that I've prepared. There are 3 in total that I wanted to share with you today. So in the first example, you can see here a female user, recent Masters of Biomedical Sciences graduate with research experience in developing an ELISA-based immune assay, seeking full-time opportunities in related biotech pharma positions. For me, as a recruiter, this is a very good headline because right off the bat, I know that this person has just finished her master's degree and now she's looking for a full-time opportunity. I know that she's been working on ELISA-based immune assays. So, for example, if I were looking to fill a position, let's say in the quality control lab, where I happen to know that they're using ELISA-based immunoassay, this would be a profile that I would click on as a recruiter, just to find out whether it makes sense to seek a connection with her. The next one is a very similar example. So this person is seeking an internship opportunity in genomic data science for 2022, PhD candidate in bioinformatics and genomics. Again, here it's to the point, not beating around the bush really. I know that this person is open for internship opportunities starting next year, and I know the field of study, so genomic data science. So if I had, let's say, a department or a hiring manager who would be interested to employ such a profile, let's say, or such background, this would be also a profile that I would click on and explore further. And then last but not least, I think this was a profile from a LinkedIn influencer. So he writes, I help people land amazing jobs without applying online. Need help with their job search? Text me. So here you can see how this person is making use of the first person. And I think this was generally very interesting because, it sparked my interest basically, because who doesn't want to know how to land an amazing job without applying online, right? So I think the way this was written invites me as a potential visitor to explore the profile a little bit further. So all of them really include top skills. They use strategic keywords. The first two also adjust to their current situation, because right now, of course, both of them are looking for either a full-time opportunity or maybe an internship for next year. But once they are employed and once they have their internship, of course, they can change this section of their profile and tweak it to show their current situation. And likewise, for example, if at some point in your career you don't want to be contacted by recruiters for specific positions, for example, you can also write that on your headline just to signal, you know, for what types of positions you'd be interested to be contacted, so you don't get inundated with information coming from recruiters or potential project partners. I thought, and this is what I want to mention as well, so LinkedIn has a name pronunciation feature that you can see here on the third example. This is something that you can actually activate using the mobile phone, not so much with the desktop version, but I thought this was very, let's say, cool, especially if you have a name that is typically mispronounced, to just share, you know, with your professional network how your name is actually pronounced correctly, right? And then some of the sections that I did not make a snip of, but I wanted to highlight nonetheless. So if you're actually looking for work, there is an open to work feature within LinkedIn, and there you can populate and signal to recruiters if you're interested in full-time opportunities, part-time, internships, and so on. And last but not least, the industry. So let me move back. So you don't get to see it on the introduction, you know, the industry that you populate in the background, but nonetheless, industry is one of those search criterion that recruiters typically use when they're trying to find, you know, specific expertise or skill sets on LinkedIn. So it makes sense to have this information in the background. So if you're looking for positions or collaborations within the pharmaceutical industry or biotechnology, then the recommendation here is to include that information in the background. Okay, so this is the headline section. We will now move to the About section. This is a section just below the introduction. And I call this the elevator pitch, really. It's a profile summary, and it should be an introduction to you as a person with, basically a concise summary, really highlighting your accomplishments, but also your aspirations. And also, of course, in this section, using strong words that are relevant for your industry and your field of expertise. And I have here, let's say, a formula that you can use to populate this part of your profile. So I think it's almost philosophical, the questions that I've written here, and not so easy to answer, to be honest. So I tried it out for myself. It's not so easy. So the questions are, who are you? What do you do? And why does what you do matter? And I have here a very simple example on how to answer these questions. So an example is, I am a teacher whose goal is to bring more women into STEM by leading a summer coding camp for girls. So who am I? I'm a teacher. What do? I lead a summer coding camp for girls. And why does it matter? It matters because my goal is to bring more women into STEM. And this is really just, let's say, a brief description, but of course, you are welcome to elaborate on this. And what LinkedIn data shows is that if you populate this section with at least 40 words, you're already increasing your visibility on the platform. So try it out. If it's still empty, it's better to have at least 40 words on there than nothing. Now, let's move to the About section of You Done. I made a snip of it again, and then we will go through what makes it stand out. So here you can see she's using the first person in her about section. She's mentioning industries. She's also describing herself. She's saying that she's a fast learner with entrepreneurial mindset, an evangelist of the benefits of digital transformation, passionate about cultures, she mentions. She also describes her uniqueness, what she brings to the table. Here I found it really, really good to be leaving contact details because, of course, if you want to be contacted by recruiters or collaborators, and you have your contact details available, then of course it's easier to connect with you. And it's also a call to action. And last but not least, of course, all these keywords that are relevant for her field of work makes it simply easy for people who are looking for this skill set to find her when doing their searches. Okay. Below the About section, there is a section called Feature or Featured. And this section really just highlights your post you've authored, reshared, any articles or links, images, videos, documents that you would like to share. And this is just a means on how to bring your profile to life and bring to life your story, basically. Yeah. Okay, the next section. It's the experience and education section, and this is really very similar to a resume or a CV. We will see it in the next slide. So here we have a brief snip of, again, Yudan's experience and education section. It is all about listing your responsibilities and achievements, typically in chronological order, of course, highlighting your impact. And you can see here that she's also included rich media where appropriate. There is space for that. And it just, as I mentioned before, brings your story to life. And what LinkedIn data shows us is that profiles with experience or populated experience in education sections generate 8 more profile views, 15 more connection requests, and 10 times more messages. So unless you don't want to connect with people or being approached for projects or opportunities, then the suggestion really is to populate the section with your input. Now to the last section, to my clock. Skills, endorsements, and recommendation. So up to this point, you're talking about yourself, about your accomplishments, about your strengths, your expertise, and so on. But really, it's one thing to talk about yourself and another thing to have third parties validating what you're mentioning on your profile. So this section just increases your credibility. It also strengthens your profile. And what LinkedIn tells us here is that members with at least 5 skills are discovered up to 27 times more in searches. So you want to make sure that you really add those skills that you deem are important for your field of work and skills that you have anyway. So to feature them, basically. Here is a section of my skills and endorsements part of my profile, and the recommendation is to provide a broad range of hard and soft skills. So with soft skills, we're talking about things like problem solving, networking, negotiation skills. And with hard skills, we mean, for example, programming languages, software knowledge, math or statistics knowledge, analytical methods, assays, or also those skills that Michael mentioned in his slide. So anything that will help potential visitors to understand your profile better. You have, or LinkedIn gives us space for up to 50 skills. And you can basically add it manually by clicking on this link. And then in my case, for example, at some point in my career, I added recruiting and human resources, and I have been endorsed 37 times for recruiting and 36 times for human resources by my contacts. I would say 37, 36 is not a high number. I think it can go even up. But I just wanted to show to you how it would then look like. There's also the possibility to endorse people with industry knowledge. So you can see here, for example, in my case, technical recruiting, possibly endorsed by candidates that I've recruited for technical positions in the past, or aerospace from the time when I was recruiting for the space industry, for example. And then last but not least, I wanted to show you that you will be in full control of what is visible on your profile, because you can see here, for example, 6 pending endorsements, and it's really up to you. So if you see, for example, you're being endorsed for skills that are not so beneficial in terms of how you wish your career to progress, then of course you don't need to confirm any of those endorsements. So you are in full control of that. Now for the key takeaway. So updating your LinkedIn profile enhances your professional brand. It increases your visibility and credibility, as we heard. You are in control of what can be discovered about you on LinkedIn, and remaining connected really just enhances your opportunities. It opens doors, not only for career opportunities, but collaboration in general. And this is where my presentation is ending. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you very much for this very nice presentation. It's very clearly structured and nicely animated also. We have several questions. I will simply start now with the first one from Alexander Hansel. He thanks you for the talk and wants to ask you, as a headhunter, how often you actually use LinkedIn to look for new talents.
Quite often, I have to say. So I'm thinking about a percentage, but the more complicated the role, the likelier I use LinkedIn as a tool to reach out to potential candidates. So it's part of daily work to be using LinkedIn as a platform, that's for sure. I don't know, 50% of the time, I guess, or 50% of positions that I'm currently filling, I would look into LinkedIn. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that's answering
Alexander?
it quite nicely.
Okay.
Another question from Janos Kondry. Do you tend to check other social media profiles of potential candidates in the very early phases of headhunting?
And by that, you mean, for example, Facebook or Instagram?
Yes, for example, I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't. I know of colleagues, not within Takeda, but generally headhunters are very resourceful researchers. So of course, it could happen that profiles or people are being researched on different platforms outside of LinkedIn, but personally, I do not use it.
Okay, thank you very much. Then there is a question, from Alexander Hansel. As a recruiter, if you look up someone specific based on the previous connection you have made, for example, via mail, would a bad or empty LinkedIn profile lead to a negative connotation for you?
Okay. No, for sure. So it's different, of course, when you know the person. So the slides that I showed to you a while ago are more applicable for persons with whom you have not yet been connected with. So I would say, to answer this question, it's a no for sure. So
okay.
In that case, most likely there has been already contact with the person and a bit more detail as to what the background will be. So if I find an empty LinkedIn profile, it wouldn't put me off.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Then there is a question from Dela Feitel, and it's regarding to the first question. Do you directly approach them via messages via LinkedIn, or are you using your professional channels then?
Both. So
okay.
Yeah, so I would also just message directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, if they provide email addresses or telephone numbers, I would directly call or email them.
As it's important also to check the LinkedIn profiles, especially when you're in a searching mood, so to say, stage. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Then before, maybe we interrupted now with an off-topic question from Janos Conry. Is movement of employees within Takeda from the European spots to Asian spots common or feasible? Are you moved?
So internal movement, you mean?
Yeah, internal global movements. Yeah.
So what was the question again?
If you could be moved from European spots to Asian spots or American spots or whatever Takeda is, because Takeda is quite a big company.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, global mobility is likely within Takeda. That's for sure. So it is possible. Yeah, it is possible. Yeah.
Maybe I can comment also on that. So what we have quite often in Takeda is that we have so-called assignments where we need in the network a certain talent, a certain person with capabilities in a special field. That has to be filled for a couple of months or a couple of years. And this is then usually communicated in the network so that, for example, in our manufacturing site in Round Lake, there is an open opportunity for the next 6 months. And people who are interested in that opportunity, they can then contact the HR department or the future boss and see if this is something that fits for both parties. That's actually quite common, yeah.
Okay.
And perhaps to complement that part as well. So if employees are welcome to apply to internal vacancies. So there are some vacancies that are solely for internal purposes, and it is connected with a recruitment process as well. But employees have can see those vacancies and of course apply to those positions if they are interested. And those are, let's say, more long-term type of assignments than outside of Austria, for example.
Yeah. I understand. Thank you. Thank you for this clear answer. There is an interesting question from Hina Mansour. Sometimes there is a risk of your profile getting scooped on by your colleagues or competitors, even your boss, if you're looking to change the job. What to do in such a delicate situation in terms of profile visibility? What do you recommend?
LinkedIn has features on, what you share and what you do not share. And for example, unless your supervisor is a recruiter, there is, let's say, the possibility to signal to recruiters or talent scouts that you are open to work without necessarily making it visible to your employer. So
okay, interesting.
There are features like that for sure. So I would suggest there to assess the settings that you have and then change it or adjust it as appropriate.
Then I will shortly answer the question from Andrea Bauer. Also, they really actively hunt via LinkedIn also. And then there is a question from Julius Hochiner. He would like to know if side jobs are also viable to include, you did during your university studies, which are not really field specific. Since you can still learn social skills from these experiences. Yeah, I think he answered it somehow partially himself already.
Yeah, for sure. Because of course, as we know, hard skills is one thing, but soft skills is another thing. So if you think that whatever experience you gain from that side position is relevant also for your future position, then by all means mention it.
And there is a question from a lot of questions. It's very nice. There is a question from Marie Vogt. How should I build up my LinkedIn profile while still in my bachelor studies? Is it necessary? Is it?
Yeah, so I would suggest at least populating those sections that I mentioned before. So trying to create, a headline that reflects your current situation, that you're currently doing your bachelor degree, and then also include a strong keyword. So I don't know which area of field of studies you are currently studying, but also include that. And then also populate the about section, make it authentic using the first person, for example, and then trying to answer those 3 questions. I think it's regardless of where you are in your career path, just generally trying to enhance your visibility is a plus, I would say.
Okay.
I would like to add on what Christina also said. Because she really made a successful and very great presentation. And thank you also for the opportunity to present my LinkedIn profile. So to the question, please keep in mind that your personal experience, your personality is also your brand. So if you can start to think about it on the very early stage to where you want to go, which career you would like to follow, and also which values you want to, spread around of you, then this will also catch or attract employers that also fits to your personality, fits to your way of working, fits to your personality. So really, please, I really encourage you to do it. And if it's not it's not a game where you need to be perfect at the first time. The beautiful part of LinkedIn is that you can always change it, edit it, and Christina gave us a great methodology with those questions. So really ask yourself those questions repetitively to see where you are and what are your goals that you want to reach out with this LinkedIn profile or other type of social media profile.
Thank you very much. It's great. Yeah. Okay, cool. Then I would have a question from my side. How many people you have to check, or what was the most difficult position for you to get or to have a successful hunt, so to say? What was how many people did you have to write or to try to convince that this is a good position for them?
Oh, that's a difficult question to answer, because from my perspective, of course, when I contact people on LinkedIn, it is for me an opening, it's opening the doors to further communication. So what I would like to avoid is to send out so many messages to different people, and then, once they not reply to them back. I think that's
I understand.
A good way forward. So
you're quite focused already, and
correct, because once that person shows interest, then of course it is my goal to engage, in further conversations with those people.
Okay.
So hard to answer that question.
It's not generalizable. Okay, I understand. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.